Hey friends, today we are going to go over my 10 most anticipated releases for the first half of this year. I am not historically great at keeping track of upcoming releases, but one of my goals for 2026 is to read 20 new releases in 2026. And so I have been looking at the forecast a little more closely, and I have put together this list of 10 upcoming releases that I will have on my radar, and I'm excited to share it with you. This list is mostly sci-fi, fantasy, and literary fiction because those are my most read genres, but one horror found its way on the list too. So, going in chronological order by release date, the first one is actually a cheat because I already read an e-arc of this book, but I want to recommend it anyway. Vigil by George Saunders is a short novel. I don't think it quite qualifies as a novella. It's 192 pages and it comes out on January 27th. Saunders is most well known for his novel Lincoln in the Bardo, which won the Booker Prize in 2017. I have not read that book actually. Vigil was my first George Saunders experience, but as I understand it, they have a lot in common. Both books engage with souls caught in a liminal state between life and death. In Vigil, we have a Christmas Carol type premise, minus the Christmas, where an oil baron named KJ Boone is on his deathbed, and spirits are visiting him with different agendas. Our main spirit narrator is Jill, who accompanies souls in the process of passing and provides them comfort. But there are other spirits that do not want Boone to make peace with his actions in life. And in that sense, this book actually reminded me a lot of Small Boat by Vincent Delacroix in putting to page the endless justifications and excuses of someone that has done a lot of harm, but it gives the reader a lot to chew on with regards to justice and determinism and hypocrisy. And the writing is very surreal and whimsical and funny as well. Moving on to the books that I actually have not read yet and are therefore actually anticipated. The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan comes out on February 24th. This has every keyword in its synopsis that is there to catch my interest specifically. It is a historical fantasy. We have monsters. We have queer romance. Here's the synopsis. In 1785, Professor Sebastian Grave, a centuries-old monster slayer who hosts a demon named Sarmadel, receives devastating news. The terrible beast of Gévaudan has returned, and the French countryside runs red in its wake. 20 years earlier, Sebastian joined the hunt for this creature and barely survived a long, bloody winter. Now he's recalled to the hunt by Antoine Avenel d'Auxerre, an estranged lover who shares dark history with both the beast and Sebastian. But France teeters on revolution. Sebastian's arcane activities have attracted the inquisitorial eye of French clergy, and the beast threatens to plunge the continent into war. Debut author Cameron Sullivan tears the heart out of history with this darkly entertaining retelling of the hunt for the beast of Gévaudan. This might be the book that I am the most excited to pick up on this entire list. Then we have Hell's Heart, which comes out March 10th. I know Alexis Hall as a writer of queer romance. Their writing is a little hit or miss for me, and romance isn't my comfort zone anyway, but I am intrigued by this, their science fiction debut. Hell's Heart is apparently a lesbians in outer space retelling of Moby Dick. It casts women in the roles of Ishmael, Ahab, and Queequeg, who are on a spaceship setting out in pursuit of spermaceti, which is a hallucinogen produced by Leviathan swimming in Jupiter's currents. It sounds crazy enough that I just might enjoy it. Next, we have Seasons of Glass and Iron coming out on March 24th. This is a collection of short stories by Amal El-Matar. I have previously read and enjoyed her work, both The River Has Roots and This Is How You Lose the Time War, which was co-written with Max Gladstone. But even more than I enjoyed The River Has Roots, I enjoyed the short story that was printed at the back of that book called John Hollowback and the Witch, which was put in there to preview this very short story collection. So that little piece of marketing worked on me. Her writing is very lyrical and her ideas are intriguing, which I think works really well for short format writing. So I'm excited to read more short stories from her. Next is American Spirits by Anna Dorn, coming out on April 14th. I read Perfume and Pain by Anna Dorn a couple of years ago, which is a book about a messy millennial lesbian author having a bit of a breakdown. And I enjoyed that book a lot. And American Spirit sounds like it is also about problematic, self destructive women, but it has more of a focus on celebrity culture. American Spirits is about a niche pop star named Blue, whose reputation skyrockets, and she hires an assistant who is not only a fan, but the founder of a subreddit that is dedicated to figuring out whether or not Blue is in a secret romantic relationship with her music producer, a woman named Sasha. Then the pandemic shuts everything down, and now these three women are in a cabin in the woods together on a creative retreat. The synopsis suggests that things break down from there. To me, this sounds like a fun, horrible romp, and like it will have some interesting commentary on pop music stan culture, so definitely looking out for this one. Next, The Caretaker by Marcus Kluwer is coming out on April 21st and is likely to be one of the few horror thriller books that I read this year. Kluwer's debut, We Used to Live Here, blew up on BookTube, and I never ended up reading that. It just didn't fit into my reading schedule, but I am very curious to see what he's about. This book is about a young woman who accepts a 3-day caretaking job on Craigslist that involves watching over this house while the owner is away. Seems like a fairly straightforward premise, but I don't think that's a bad thing, and the early reviews already look really good. Next, the 8th installment of the Murderbot series comes out on May 5th with Platform Decay by Martha Wells. Last year, I zoomed through the first 4 novellas in the Murderbot series and then stalled out and never continued reading them. But with a new book coming out, I probably will try to catch up this year. And the tiny little synopsis on this one sounds so cute. It goes, after volunteering to run a rescue mission, Murderbot realizes that it will have to spend significant time with a bunch of humans it doesn't know, including human children. Ugh. This may well call for eye contact. It just sounds so cute, and I find the Murderbot series to be nice palate cleanser books in between other books, and so hopefully I can catch up this year. Next up is If We Cannot Go at the Speed of Light by Kim Cho-yeop, coming out on May 7th. This is another speculative fiction short story collection originally published in Korean in 2019, now translated into English by Anton Her. The blurb on Goodreads says this: from alternative futures to distant alien planets, in the company of scientists, space explorers, and ordinary citizens in extraordinary situations, Kim Cho-yeop revels in making the impossible seem not only possible, but somehow inevitable. Each story focuses on a specific issue of discrimination against women or other marginalized groups, adding a mind-bending twist to hold a mirror to modern society and its everyday inequities. I didn't specifically set out to read more short stories this year, but short stories are sounding really good to me right now, and I am intrigued by reading some short stories in translation. My next anticipated release is another next book in a series I'm reading release, All Hail Chaos by Sarah Rees Brennan, which comes out May 12th. This is the sequel to Long Live Evil, which follows a 20-year-old young woman named Ray who had a terminal cancer diagnosis and gets a magical bargain. She can enter her favorite fantasy series, and if she can obtain the Flower of Life and Death, which blooms only once a year, she will have another chance at life. But when she is placed in this world, she is put into the shoes of the villainess, who is due to be executed the very next day. So Long Live Evil had a lot of meta commentary on fantasy and romantasy tropes and commentary on the nature of good and evil, and I just thought it was a fun time with a lot of heart, especially towards the end of book 1, so I am excited to see where it goes in book 2. And last but not least, I am looking forward to reading Whistler by Ann Patchett, which comes out June 2nd. I read Tom Lake a couple of years ago as my first Ann Patchett, and this seems to occupy a similar space of nostalgia and reminiscing. Whistler is about an adult woman who unexpectedly reconnects with her former stepfather while visiting the Metropolitan Museum of Art. They have not seen each other in many years, and the blurb says Whistler is a story about 2 adults looking back on the choices they've made and the choices that were made for them. It's a story about bravery, memory, the often small yet consequential moments that define our lives, and the endless stream of loss that in time comes for us all. It sounds very moving and tender, and I very much look forward to crying when I read it. Those are my 10 most anticipated releases. I would love to hear from you in the comments about which books from this list sound the most appealing to you, or let me know what you have your eye on that was not on my list. And I will see you in the next video, which I expect to be a reading vlog where I try to wrap up the fantasy subreddit book bingo challenge. I will hopefully see you there. Bye.